Hi, and welcome back to A Better Choice Homestead. My name is Kelly, and on Tuesdays, I post a cook with me video. Usually the meals are super quick and easy to put together. This one is about a 15-minute prep and a 15-minute cook, but they are loaded with nutrition. So today we are going to be making what I call keto crack. It's also known as egg roll in a bowl or fried cabbage, but it is highly nutritious, absolutely delicious, and really simple to do. So I'm gonna point you down and we're gonna get started. I'm gonna be making this in my wok today. And I am gonna get that turned on to about a medium heat. I like to make this dish with a combination of sausage and ground beef, but you can use one, the other, or both. This is about 2 pounds of meat altogether, and I am just going to get that into the wok and get that cooking. And this is meat that I sourced from my local farmer. I do a bulk purchase once a year on beef and pork. And that way I can get all naturally raised meat at a very affordable price, which is an excellent way to shop as long as you have room to store that much food at one time. I'm going to be using this little tool here to just break the meat up as it cooks. And we're going to get to prepping some vegetables. I am going to start with the cabbage. This is a small to medium sized cabbage, and I will use at least half of it, but I'm going to try to use as much of it as I can fit in my pan. So cabbage is really high in fiber. I'm going to cut the end off here. And it overall is an excellent source of antioxidants. It is loaded with vitamin C and vitamin K. Vitamin C is really good for heart health, your vision, cancer protection, and even collagen production. I'm just cutting the base of the cabbage off. So I cut it in half, and then I cut a little triangle at the bottom to get the core out. I've already taken the outer parts of the leaves off. And then I'm just going to cut this really thinly. So cabbage is also really good for nervous system support. It has a lot of antioxidants, as I mentioned. It works as an anti-inflammatory in your body. It helps to improve your digestion because it is full of cellular fiber, which increases the beneficial bacteria in your gut. It also has anthocyanins in it, actually 36 different kinds of them, which really offer you tremendous amount of heart health, more so with the red cabbage than the green cabbage. Cabbage also helps you lower your blood pressure because it has a good amount of potassium in it, which helps reduce the amount of sodium load in your body. And it also lowers your overall cholesterol, again, because of that soluble fiber. So these I'm just cutting up into very thin strips. And then I've got, this is too small for me to carefully cut down into thin strips. So I'm just going to set this aside because, believe it or not, my dogs love cabbage. So I will give them this piece, and I will give my compost pile those pieces. And that meat is just cooking away over there. I'm going to give that a stir here in just a second. All right, I've got my cabbage ready to go. Give this a quick stir here. We're also going to be putting in some carrots. Now, if you have a coleslaw mix, you can go ahead and just use a coleslaw mix. I don't buy things usually that are pre-made like that because it's just too easy to do it yourself. So I'm just going to give these carrots a quick shred. And I could get out my food processor to do this, but I don't feel like cleaning my food processor afterwards. So I'm just going to get as much of the carrots shredded as I can, and the rest will go to the dogs. So carrots are also really high in fiber. They contain pectin as their main form of fiber, which is a soluble fiber, but they also contain insoluble fibers such as cellulose, and these help reduce the risk of constipation. They also have beta carotene and fiber in them, vitamin K1, and potassium. Carrots help lower your cholesterol, improve your eye health, lower your risk of cancer, increase immune function, increase bone health, and regulate blood pressure. Give this another quick stir. Growing up, I have German and Irish descent in me. And so growing up, we had corned beef and cabbage quite often. And I never saw the appeal of that boiled cabbage. We had to eat what was put in front of us, though, so we did. I ended up finding that I, was okay when I loaded it up with some vinegar, but I never really grew taste buds for cabbage until I was, well into adulthood, probably in my 30s or 40s. And then when I found this recipe, which was probably about 12 years ago, I absolutely fell in love with it. I love this dish. I found this when I first went on keto after my second breast cancer diagnosis. And I understood immediately why the nickname is keto crack, because you just can't stop eating it. It is so delicious. I even got my son to eat it willingly after, a lot of coaxing on my part, but now he just goes to town. It is delicious. So if you're using a pre-shredded coleslaw mix, this will go a lot quicker, but I know that it's going to take a minute to get that meat cooked, so I don't mind. And all of these little pieces and parts will just go right to the dogs. And I didn't measure out the carrots. I'm just using what was left in the refrigerator because they needed to get used up. You can use as many or as little as you'd like. Breaking up all those bigger pieces, mixing things up to make sure that it gets cooked through. This is almost ready. Now we're going to be doing some garlic. probably 3 or 4 normal size cloves, but these are small. So we'll see how many I end up doing. I'll try to start with the, what looks like 3, although these are small pieces that are together. And I have a garlic roller here. This is a really simple way to peel garlic. You just put the garlic inside the roller, put the palm of your hand on top of the garlic, and you roll. And everything comes out of their jackets. That was 3 little pieces of garlic. Now I'm just going to mince this up by giving it a good chop one way, a good chop the other way, and then just running my knife through it again. That looks good. This recipe also calls for fresh ginger, which I do not have, but I do have some freeze-dried, so I'm going to grab that. This is ginger that I sliced and freeze-dried last year or the year before. Just pulling out a couple thinly sliced pieces. And I'm going to stick them in a little bowl of water just for a couple minutes to let them rehydrate. That is looking really good. I am going to go ahead and throw the garlic in there. And I'm going to shred up some of this garlic on the small shred plate on my grater. And what didn't rehydrate in the bowl here will rehydrate, but this is almost rehydrated. Will rehydrate in the dish. Okay, that looks really good. I'm just going to mix all that around. Make sure that the meat is in smaller pieces. Now I'm going to throw in my cabbage and my carrots. Kind of breaking the cabbage up as it goes in. Put some carrots in there. Some more cabbage. All right, I'm going to mix this up just a little bit. Get some of that cabbage towards the bottom. And now I'm going to put in some liquid aminos. You can use soy sauce if you'd like. I'm careful with the amount of soy that I use because of my history with breast cancer. But I am going to do a liberal pour. And this is probably, that's probably a third of a cup. Now with that liquid in here, this is going to be able to steam, and it's going to start steaming that cabbage. So I am going to get the lid on here and let that cook for a few minutes. And while that is steaming, I'm going to go ahead and clean up some of this mess. All right, let's see how we're doing. That's coming along nicely. I'm going to give it a good flip again. You can see that the cabbage is really starting to wilt down. We've got some good moisture on the bottom here, which is producing that steam. Oh yeah, this is looking so good. Yum. Okay, now I'm going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper. Seasonings are always to taste. So put some pepper on there. And some salt. This is just about done. This looks beautiful. Now I'm going to just drizzle it with a little bit of organic sesame oil just to finish it off. That's maybe a tablespoon. We'll mix that in. And then last but not least, I'm going to add some green onions. I don't have any fresh, but I do have some freeze-dried from last year's garden. So I am just going to grab some of these dry scallions. And when they mix in with the moisture on the bottom and the steam on the top, they will fully rehydrate. And that is done. So let's get some plated up. Look how lovely that looks. It smells amazing too. Let's give it a taste. It's pretty hot and steamy, but it's gonna be good. Oh, I can't wait. I haven't had this in a while. Oh, this looks so appetizing. So many colors in here. Very fragrant too. With the liquid aminos and that garlic and that ginger, it has a really nice aroma. Mm. This is absolutely delicious. The vegetables are tender but not mushy. The sausage adds that little bit of extra flavor to the dish, although it would be perfectly fine with just beef. I've made it that way as well. I wanted to double the recipe so that I could have it in the fridge for a few days and not have to cook. I've got a business trip coming up and there's always a lot to do before you leave town. So I am thrilled to have this available. Mm. Mm. The liquid aminos, or the substitute soy sauce, That hits the back of your tongue and it just adds an umami flavor in here. This is wonderful. So if you have cabbage growing in your spring garden and carrots, I recommend giving this a try. Or maybe you can source some of those ingredients from your local farmer's market or the organic section of your grocery store. Or maybe you can consider growing some cabbages and some carrots in your fall garden this year. They like to grow in the cool weather, not the heat of the summer. But you won't regret this. This is absolutely amazing. Something that the whole family will enjoy. Thank you so much for joining me in my kitchen today. I hope I've inspired you to try cooking with some cabbage and some carrots. My name is Kelly. You're at A Better Choice Homestead, and I do hope that you come back and visit again soon.